Hello, I'm Zakira and welcome back to my channel and happy winter season to you. Technically winter doesn't start until the winter solstice, but for me I always tend to consider the start of December as the start of winter because it gets plenty cold where I am. As a matter of fact, it's been just freezing and snowing. It feels like non-stop for the last few days. And it's the season of being with family and friends and eating tons of food and giving gifts and giving cards, which segues into the subject for today's video. In today's video, I'll be designing some winter/holiday themed cards, so let's get into it. So before I started drawing, I did a bunch of quick thumbnail ideas in my sketchbook, and I know they literally look like nothing. They're totally just scribbles, but that's how all of my thumbnails look. I have this thing where I cannot do properly finished, sketched out thumbnails if I know I'm going to be redrawing and finalizing the illustration on a different piece of paper. The reason is because I always feel like the best version of the drawings I do tend to be on the first go. So if I draw something in my sketchbook that I like, then try to go recreate it on my finished illustration paper, I never can draw it as good as I did the first time in my sketchbook. So my thumbnails tend to just be basically like a note to myself. No one else can really understand what the heck's going on, but I do. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why I hardly ever do sketchbook walkthrough videos, because unlike most artists that have sketchbooks filled with like beautiful sketches and drawings and like watercolor renderings and things like that, my sketchbooks tend to be mostly filled with these like hardly recognizable scribbles. Anyway, moving on. The first card design I did was called Fishbowl Christmas, and it is an illustration of, you guessed it, a fishbowl with a betta fish getting ready for Christmas. He's got a little tree in there, and he's decorating it up, feeling the Christmas vibes. These cards also gave me the opportunity to try out these colored micron pens I got recently. I love microns because they are truly waterproof and alcohol proof. A lot of pens and fine liners claim they are waterproof, but they're just not. So I thought it'd be nice to have some colored microns so I can have different colored line work without having to worry about bleeding and fading. The power just went out while I'm in the middle of a video. Oh my god, what the heck? Internal screaming. Good thing I have these little lights. Look, you can still see my drawing. I'm gonna have to pause this video until the lights come back on. The power's back on! Yay! But now I lost my pen. Oh no. Literally just bought it and I've already lost it. Oh, here it is. Found it! Yeah, so we lost power right while I was in the middle of drawing and filming. That was fun, and it was out for hours, so I had to finish this piece pretty late at night, but it was worth it. Staying up late to draw, always worth it. Though I guess I should tell that to morning Zakira as she struggles to get out of bed. With this piece, I mainly used my Winsor & Newton drawing inks to color, but I also used some Copic markers to get the darker hues of red and green, because the colors I have for the Winsor & Newton inks are pretty light. So the Copics were useful for getting those deeper hues and shadows and stuff.
You need a lot of paraphernalia in your trade. Yeah, cymbals, chimp, bongo, tambourine. What are these things? These are claves. What are they for? Set a rhythm for the Latin American stuff. Here, let me show you. See? Very simple. Very simple.
And that was the first card in Zaki's little 2019 winter card collection. And this is actually the only design I made that is tied specifically to a holiday, Christmas obviously. The rest of the cards are more universal and just winter themed without any like specific Christmassy decorations. So a lot of you may recognize this next design because it was one of the pieces I did for Inktober. It was one of my personal favorites of the month, and I felt it was suited for a card because it was quite wintry themed already, with the girl having that big coat. However, turning the design into a card took a little finicking because the original piece was actually just the line work. And then I took a photo of the line work and added the color digitally directly on top of the photo, and that's what I ended up uploading onto like social media and stuff. And high resolution as the photo may have been, it was still much too grainy to be proper for a print. So I had to properly scan the line work in at like 600 dpi and then kind of sneak it under the digital color layers and just replace the picture with the scanned piece instead. Thankfully, I still had the original program file, the Clip Studio program file, so I could do that, or else I would have had to recolor the whole thing again, and it would have looked totally different. So yeah, after that whole technical shenanigan was done, I decided to also add a touch of snow to the illustration, just to make it a bit more wintry. And that was it for the second card. For the third card, we come back to the land of traditional art. This next piece is called Snowy Kitty. That's right, if you thought Fishbowl Christmas was quite literal, you underestimate the magnitude of my literal naming abilities. I have zero shame for being as uncreative as I possibly can for naming my illustrations. I feel like I hardly ever draw animals. I mentioned this in my last video too. I don't know why. I guess I just gravitate towards drawing human beings, but I do love animals and I love animal illustrations, and I figured at least one of these cards has gotta show a little floofy something, and what better than a floofy white cat chilling in some floofy white snow. Though technically the Fishbowl Christmas one is also an animal illustration, but fish aren't floofy, so doesn't count. This piece ended up being quite the mixed media illustration. I used watercolors, I used inks, I used Copics, I used brush pens, and I even used some acrylic paint at the very end for the snow. Also, I used masking fluid for the very first time ever! Yay! I've been meaning to get masking fluid for such a long time, and I finally got some, and it's great. I don't really know what else to say about it. It does what it's supposed to do, and it's a really great thing. Very useful. I feel like I've reached a point in my illustration abilities where I've sort of outgrown some of my supplies, particularly with my watercolors. I mean, the Koi watercolors, which are the watercolors that I have, are pretty good. They're nice for like light washes and stuff, but they kind of lack in the pigment and smoothness department. They tend to get pretty chalky when they dry. I used to not know even what that meant because this is literally the only watercolors I've ever used, but I don't know, I guess something just changes after you've, you know, practiced with a material enough times. You kind of just like, you're like, no, this is not supposed to dry like this. I don't care if these are the only watercolors I've ever used. Like, it should not look that way. It should be like smooth, like the other videos of people doing watercolors and stuff. It's really not very possible to get like nice, deep, rich colors with these. This is actually the reason why I often end up pulling out my Copic markers whenever I do a watercolor illustration, just so I can get some darker tones. And honestly, that's actually what I originally bought the koi watercolors for. I bought them before I actually thought I'd enjoy working with watercolors. I thought I would be exclusively working with markers, and the watercolors were just a way for me to fill in large areas of color without wasting a bunch of Copic marker ink. But now that I've come to really enjoy working with inks and paints, I think it's time to upgrade. I don't know when, but someday. If y'all have some like watercolor sets that you really love, please do let me know what they are in the comment section so that I can look into it. For the fourth and final card, I went totally digital. This card is actually the only one I made that has words built in. Wait, no, it's not built in, it's drawn in, or whatever. There's words, okay? It was really just that I couldn't really think of many snazzy original sounding phrases to build the cards around. There I go with build again. Get your power tools out, everybody. We're building here. But I did come up with this one concept that I immediately loved, so I just had to do it. And it's a painting of this really cozy looking piece of toast, and he's holding a little steamy cup of goodness, and the steam of the cup comes up and spells out the words "Stay Toasty." That's right. Grade A pun, if I do say so myself. Honestly, I am pretty horrible with puns, so whenever I come up with even a half-decent one, I need a pat on the back, you know? With this design, I wanted to go very, very simplistic looking, very kid-lit picture book style. It's so much fun to draw in this style, but it's also deceptively difficult. I think that's the case with pretty much any simplistic style, because the less details, or rather the fewer details you put, the more weight each detail you do put carries. Your eyes can see everything at a glance, so if anything is a little off, it's really, really noticeable. So I actually had to finick quite a bit with the composition and positioning of everything in this piece to make sure it looked balanced. And I also had to adjust the colors a lot just to get the feeling I was going for. And what started out as what I thought would take maybe 30 minutes to paint ended up taking a couple hours. Definitely have a lot of respect for like children's book illustrators and any artists really who have very simplistic styles. You have to have one keen eye to do it right. The Stay Toasty card just might be my favorite out of the bunch. I just love the simplicity of it, and I honestly can't wait to use it to like give to people I know. And that was that. That was all 4 cards I did for my winter holiday card collection. I did all of them in very, very different styles, and I did not really plan on doing that at first, but style diversity is kind of my thing, whether I like it or not. I just can't help myself. All of these cards are available on my shop at zakira.com. They're sold as either individuals or as an 8-pack, and the 8-pack has 2 of each card design in it. If you'd like to check them out, the link will be in the description box. And thank you to those who have already purchased some cards, and thank you in advance if you watching this are interested and decide to get some for yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before you go, if you have a moment, please do leave a thumbs up and a comment letting me know which of these card designs is your favorite, and just how you been? How you doing? How's it going? How's the last couple weeks been going for you? It's been going okay for me, aside from having to restart the formatting of my book year like 4 times because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But it seems like it's going correctly now, and it's almost finished. I'm still like tentative to put a solid date on the release of the book, but I guess I could tell you guys that the ebook will be coming out before the print book, just because of like shipping times and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll let you guys know when the book comes out. Also, Thanksgiving just passed recently here in the United States, and that was a nice time to recharge and just do nothing but eat, play games, eat more, and sleep for like 10 hours straight. I've also been participating in Childhood Week, which is like a week-long drawing challenge thing on Instagram. But I kind of fell behind on that because of the shenanigans with my book formatting. Hopefully though, I'm gonna try to finish it regardless, even though it's gonna be past the week already. If you'd like to see the art that I've already done for it, you can check out my Instagram, and links to all of my socials are in the description box as well. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back soon with a new video, because I have actually a lot of footage for a lot of like things that I've filmed, so hopefully I'll get the time to edit and post more videos soon. But for now, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, stay awesome, stay inspired, always. See ya!